Wondering how you can become better at running your business? Entrepreneurship can be stressful. There's too much to do and not enough time. If you're isolated in your daily decisions, have no fear. Success and balance are possible. Welcome to the Small Business Answer Man podcast, where you master the art of running a successful business using practical advice from experts who want to help you succeed. Now, here's your host, Gary Wilbers.
Welcome. We're glad to have everyone back again this week for another great podcast. I told you in this second quarter, my goal was to find guests that would help solve problems that you're having in your business today. And with it be coming up to the end of second quarter, we've still got problems to solve. So the thing is, I found another guest that can help us in this area. And I think this is a big one because I know we all have employees and it becomes a challenge sometimes. So Lisa, would you share with our audience, what problem will you help them solve today?
So the problem that we're going to talk about today is the biggest thing happening right now. It's retaining your top talent and how you do that so that you're not at risk for your business plans for this year.
I love this conversation because it's so important because that top talent is one that really helps our business. And right now, everybody wants them because they know they're the good top talent that's available. So today with us is Lisa Ealy. She's known as the HR Profit Strategist. She's proud CEO and founder of Purple Squirrel Group and the HR for Profit. With more than a quarter century of dedication to human resources and coaching, she's unlocked the game-changing truth at the core of every thriving business are its people. They are the essential element, the pivotal piece that can captivate your business to unprecedented heights. So it's great to have you here, Lisa. Welcome to the Small Business Answer Man podcast.
I'm so glad and delighted to be here, Gary, to share with you and your audience.
Well, Lisa, I tell you, why don't we just jump right into that? Because that top talent, the challenges that people are facing now, I think is a big one. So I think it's so important. So can you share with us maybe what you're seeing in the marketplace of some of those unique challenges that small businesses face and really in retaining those key employees? And how can they really effectively address those challenges so it doesn't become a problem in their business?
No, that is really the heart of the matter is people. And so for many of us in business, especially small businesses, sometimes we feel like we can't retain our best people. But you have something that many large organizations don't have. You have the ability to literally, between today and tomorrow, or this week and next week, you can decide to change someone's title. You can decide to give them more responsibilities, and you can even decide to give them more perks or benefits. And everything isn't related to the dollars that you are paying someone. Whereas a larger organization has to go through multiple layers to make those same quick, nimble decisions that as a small business, you can literally make on the turn of a dime. So that's the first thing, is that you have the advantage. So I just wanted to give a round of applause for all of you small businesses owners out there right now. You've got an advantage that maybe you didn't even know you had or even recognized.
Yeah, I think that's so important that they don't recognize it because I think they think, oh, we're smaller, we can't do certain things. But the only difference is, they're not in a big organization that really takes a lot to turn that wheel. They're in a smaller organization. And when you talk to key employees and they're in a smaller organization, what I found is one of the reasons they love it is because of the fast pace and because of the nimbleness that they do have in their business that have seen. So I'm curious what you've seen in organizations and seen from people with that side of it when you're doing your HR business with them, how that makes a difference to people. And as you're recruiting and seeing different people go into organizations, What have you seen in your line of work?
Yeah. So what I see most, if we talk about the individual employees, whether they're in small or larger organizations, is consistently we hear people do not feel valued.
Mm,
And so as a small business owner, you can help people feel valued. One, you can ask them, right? What would make you feel valued, right? And guess what? If you're sensing that something has shifted in their energy or something has shifted in how they interact with the rest of the team or with clients, you can address it right away, right? And so, one of the biggest things that we do with our clients is we encourage them to meet one on one with their team. Or if you have layers of leadership, a lead, um, a director or a VP in your business, that you're all actively engaged with the team and understanding what their needs are, where their career's going, and how you can help them get there. And so sometimes people just want to understand the path. But if you're never talking to your people, then you'll never know what's happening. And again, people are our most important asset.
yeah, I love that. And I think that's so important in this communicating. And communicating is not coming in and saying, "Hey, Lisa, I need you to take care of this," and you're in and out. Truly having those conversations, and one that I've really stressed to my business owners I work with in my mastermind is we've got to get out of this concept of these yearly reviews. Yes, you can do a yearly review, but you should every 90 days be having a serious conversation. And the neat thing I think about those 90 days ones, it's not so much dictating what you're telling them, it's what you're hearing from them. And you're asking, what are the challenges? What are the opportunities we have? How can we share that information? And I'd love to get some feedback from what you think in that area, because I think we just got to get out of this mindset. Once a year, we sit down with the employees and talk to them, and it kind of hits with your theme of communication.
Absolutely. And it's there's a book, I might date myself a little bit, but I trust this audience that you won't tell anybody. But there's a book, it's called Managing by Walking Around.
Mm,
And it's a whole concept. And so really it's every single day. Now, this isn't about nitpicking as a leader or business owner. It's really understanding as the decision maker, the person who holds the purse strings, to make sure that you are blocking and tackling for your team, because sometimes it's a small little kind of like communication that makes an impact. And I actually believe that each employee should be meeting with their direct supervisor, hold your seat for this, no less than once a month,
yes.
right? That's like ideal. And at the end of the day, because you're positively influencing them to continue to do the things that are working, and then you're also providing them feedback and constructive feedback on what might not be working. So if I do something at the beginning of the year and I don't hear about it until the beginning of the next year, there's a problem. Can I share with the audience a quick story?
Please do.
Okay, so I have a client. I will not disclose the client; it's confidential. But they had an employee, or currently have an employee that's been with them since 2 or 3 years, right? And they identified an issue within 1 year of employment. And then 3 years later, they are still having that issue. It is creating havoc for their team. It's creating havoc for the founder and co-founder, and it's preventing them literally from ascending to where they should be in their business. So this is a prime example of why you need to have regular feedback. Not just that, but you also need to have an HR consultant that can help you operate your business so that you can continue to grow and profit. Now, this individual is not clearly working out, right? But it hasn't been addressed for over 2 years.
Yeah. And whose problem really is that? If they have allowed it to manifest for 2 years to happen. I just did a presentation this morning on how to have difficult conversations. None of us like to have those conversations, but you have to have them if you want to see a change. How do they even know how to change unless they're aware of what's going on in the position that they're creating? So it's not fair to that individual either. So great information and so important that we take a look at it. I'm gonna try and turn my volume down just a little bit. We're getting a little bit of feedback here. So the other thing I wanted to talk to you about is how we can really effectively implement some employee retention strategies when we're on a tight budget. 'Cause some of the small businesses feel like, okay, I understand what you're saying, but the problem is I don't have as much money as other people do to be able as a big, large organization does. So do you have some low cost methods that really can make an impact, you think, in organizations?
Absolutely. So, one of the things I think is first, understand what people want, right? So, maybe you do something as simple as this: you give them the parking space, right? If you're in person and have a location that's up front that says, employee of the month, employee of the quarter, right? And they get that special parking space. Um, it's just a sign, right? At the end of the day. In addition to that, make sure you are recognizing individuals' significant milestone dates and also know if they celebrate or not, because not everybody celebrates anniversaries and birthdays and other things. So this goes into how they want to be recognized. Finally, many of us have things, and sometimes we get multiple things. I'm reading a book right now. It's called $100 Million Leads, and I actually got a bundle of three of them. And so sometimes, what I'd say is you could take something that you got, and the person may be an avid reader, or maybe they need to learn more, if especially if this is related to their job, about that thing. In addition to that, one final thing is you can always, I work with a client who worked in the city, downtown, and they established summer hours. And so everyone was able to get off a little bit earlier on Friday. And so again, these are some of the perks that you can think about as well. And don't forget about small little things like a gift card for their favorite coffee shop. Don't forget about also, you know, maybe again, if they're celebrating something that you're recognizing that. But let me say this is a really good one. Don't forget about, if you've been working as an organization on some big project or program, or even a proposal, and everyone's working a bunch of hours. Well, they're not at home doing the things that they would normally do. And so think about sending something special to the people at home, right? As well. So, for example, I have a client who paid for their family to get their lawn done. It was under $100, but because the person that normally would do the lawn had been working hard on this proposal, they won the proposal, but the lawn didn't get cut. Do you know how their family felt when someone came up to cut the lawn and it only cost the business owner $100? So those are small little things to start thinking about. But the key here is to ask people how they want to be rewarded.
Yeah, I love that because that's the number one key is what do they want? And don't be afraid to ask. I mean, I actually had a form when I had my wireless business. I still use it today in this business. I only have one employee, but we have a little sheet and they fill out their favorite candy bar. They fill out their favorite department store because when it's time and I want to give her a gift, I like certain things. She would not want what I want, but how would I think? I would think like me. But instead, now we know what department store she wants. So when we get her that gift card, she's ecstatic about it. And we have fun with the candy bar. Sometimes it's a small thing, but I appreciate you going the extras. And she likes the Snickers. So I give her a Snickers bar. And she understands what that mean of the appreciation is more about the thought that I'm willing to go buy a candy bar, the kind that she likes, and then the giver to put that comment behind it to be very specific. So I love hearing some of the things you said because I'm actually doing some of those. And I only, like I said, I only have one employee, but it makes a difference. And we just did her 90-day and we sit down weekly and have meetings, but we did her regular 90-day review. And one of my questions is, and I understand you may get people not to tell you the truth and stuff, but we've got a pretty good relationship. And we asked from a scale 1 to 10, how happy are you working here? And, she gave me a 10. And I said, oh, you're just trying to be too kind. And she goes, no. She goes, because she has summer hours. She has where on Fridays she gets off at noon. And we've done some of those things to really appreciate her in those areas. And I think that's the key. It's the small things, people. That's the thing. You're sitting here thinking too much. You think it's the big thing. One I want to talk a little bit about before we kind of talk about some of the other things I want to is this learning and development. This is one with a lot of small business owners. I'll be honest, it's a pet peeve of mine, Lisa. So when I heard you say it, I knew I had to come back to it. Is a lot of times they'll get in this mindset, they'll take all kinds of training as the owner and they'll go to conferences and all these things, but they won't ever develop their people. And of course, I do some training in my business. So this is a double reason is a pet peeve of mine. But the only thing is, if you don't develop those people, then you're almost offering them down the road that they will leave. And I hear business owners say this silly philosophy, well, if I train them, I'll lose them and stuff. Well, if you don't train them and they stay, guess what you get? You get the same employee. But by you training them, they see that benefit. And if they see that, for some people, that's a big deal that they're always growing and learning in their business. So I'm just curious on that learning and development, what you've seen, how that really can improve that retention rate.
It absolutely does, but not just retention of the employee, but it helps them grow, which ultimately helps your organization grow. And that's why I'm known as the HR profit strategist.
Yeah.
But let me say this. So there are resources that are practically no cost, right? Or low cost. The first one is many of us forget this. For those individuals who do have degrees, now, especially with the times that we're living in, you can audit classes for free. Now, do you, as a business owner, need to give them time to go to class? Absolutely, right? That's one. The second thing is there's something called LinkedIn Learning. It used to be called Linda, literally. It used to be called Linda. That's the truth. And depending on where you live, and you can check with your local or regional library services, you can access LinkedIn Learning, wait for it, for free
Wow.
at no cost. And even if it is a cost, it could be as little as $79 a month, right? And so the courses that are available from everything from Agile to PMP certifications to improving communication skills, sales skills, soft and hard skills alike, you can develop an individual development plan for your team to close their gaps in skills and become more knowledgeable about things. But also, I say, don't be afraid to budget for development. It is important because you do want to continue to invest in your employee Because when you invest in them, guess what? They'll invest that skills, knowledge, and ability right back into your company, and the bottom line benefits the most.
Yes, you really get what it creates. I've seen is to really create some loyalty with your employees because they see that you want to develop them. So guess what they want to do? They want to come back and they want you to earn return and get that investment back. So it becomes so crucial. Now, this next question, we've talked around this, but I didn't want to miss this before we go, is in kind of, we've talked a little bit about culture and company culture and how we can foster that, but it also impacts employee retention in small businesses. So I wanted you to share with really as a company culture, your beliefs there of how that really helps with employee retention.
Yeah, so from a company culture standpoint, it really starts with the business owner, but it really also is focused on how do you want your clients to feel? And so that then gets backed into, because of that, how you want your employees and your team to feel. Because you can't say, I want to be able to, like if you're a Nordstrom's and you say, the customer is always right. And if they return something, they return it no matter what. But then you treat your employees different than that. Then your culture isn't a match. And then the employee or the team members begin to view you as not authentic. And so it is really critically important to say, for example, I'm in the people business. And so I treat my team very well because we're in the people business. And if I'm not treating them well and understanding and taking the time and learning and adding value, then they're not going to do the same thing for the clients that we serve, right? And it's anti to the people business, right? It just doesn't fit. It just doesn't fit.
Yeah, and that really comes into one that I'll be honest, I struggled early in my career, Lisa, that people would know my attitude within 10, 15 minutes of that I got into the office. And, that's not a good thing because if you was in a good mood, of course, that got spread around the office. But boy, if I was in a bad mood, that spread too. And I love what Charles Swindoll says is 10% is what happens to us. 90% is how we choose to respond to it. So how are you responding and how are you responding your team? Because if you believe people, which I do, and I agree with you, people are our number one greatest asset, then we have to treat them with that utmost respect. And if you get frustrated, being able to have the conversations and talk about the challenges versus just letting them build. This has been such a great conversation. I truly appreciate you sharing all this great information. I think with your book, you have Profit Amplified HR strategies that every small business owner must master. You're willing to give them a free chapter of your book. Is that correct?
That is correct.
So we're going to have in show notes where you go. I'll say it, but don't worry, we'll have it in show notes because I know most of you can't write it down right now. It's hrforprofit.com/free hyphen chapter. And we'll have that in show notes. So if you'd like to get a copy of that, please do. If you'd like to check out Lisa's website, please go to hrforprofit.com. We'll have that in show notes too. Of course, she's on social media channels and other places that you can link to, and we will have all that in show notes also. So please check her out on LinkedIn and other areas there. But Lisa, before I let you go, I want to ask you this question. I ask every guest this question, and we've talked a lot about it. Doesn't have to be anything that we've spoke about here, but the question is, what's your best advice you would give the business owners?
Wow, my best advice. My best advice is really going to be related to people, right? And the thing I would say about it is, if you're a small business owner and you do not have a team, consider your first hire. How do you ring the cash register? And if you added someone who does the thing that rings the cash register for your business, what would that look like? The second thing is, if you do have a team, right, how can that team grow and add more value to your business? Are you leaving money on the table? Do they have ideas or thoughts or other things, ways to enhance products or services that you're not yet utilizing? And those will be the two things, whether you don't have a team or you do have a team, it's still all about the people.
That is great advice, Lisa. I truly appreciate you joining us on the podcast today. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Gary.
Again, check out Lisa's website, hrforprofit.com. It's got some great information out there. So please, I've looked at her website, some great information that you can get and take away. So please do that. And also, if you're having a challenge in this area, that's her specialization is in HR and really in understanding them processes. If you put those in place, you'll have better retention. And that becomes the other key about it. And the people are our number one strength. And we've got to realize that. And it's harder to find people than ever. You know, that's the other key we have to realize. So it's a lot easier to retain the ones that you have than trying to get brand new ones. Yes, maybe they aren't perfect in every way, but guess what? You as a business owner, you're not perfect in every way either. I know it's hard to believe that when we look ourselves in the mirror and we realize that we're not perfect, but we have to realize we are not either, but we can help them get better by giving them learning and development and helping them grow within our organization. So hope this conversation has been benefit to you. Now, the only thing I ask you to do is if you know somebody that needs it, like and share this podcast, let others know about it. And also, if there's anything that we can do, please send us a message. You can get on our note section and you can respond back to us, and we'd love to be able to reply back to you. My action item this time is really, what is one thing you're going to do this week for your employees? You decide what it is, but why don't you do something small and show them your appreciation? That's my challenge to you. And I think Lisa, she was nodding her head liking that challenge that I gave you. So please go out there and do it in each and every day. Now, thank you for joining us. Come back next week. We'll have another great podcast. Make it a great day.
That's all the time we have for this week. To continue your journey, head over to smallbusinessanswerman.biz to access the tools and resources mentioned in today's show. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with someone who would benefit from listening. That's smallbusinessanswerman.biz. Until next time, remember, when you find the right solutions, your business grows and you get your time back.